Make sure that you have Node.js and VS Code installed before you continue with the video. And also, I'll be using this Notion document to help me set up with the project. I'll link this document in the description down below. So the first thing to do is to go to Files, open Project, and then create a folder, your project folder, in wherever folder you want the project to be at. So I'll create a new folder and I'll call it Video Project. And select Project Folder. Then I'll select this folder, open up the folder. And then this will show up. Close the chat because we do not need it. Then I will shrink this and open up my Notion document and follow what the Notion document says. I've done this. So in the terminal, using Control backtick, or over here in the terminal, you can click on New Terminal, and then you can type in npx create Expo app at latest. Then the template you put as blank and slash. This is so that the blank template of the project will be inside the current root in the current directory. So press enter. While creating, you can install Expo Go on your phone using the docs.expodev. So over here, let's go to setup your environment and select your device, Expo Go, and then you can install it here. But I've already installed it, so I don't really have to do it. Now I will start the recording of my phone to see, so they can see what's going on in my phone. Let me open up Expo Go, and then in the terminal of the project, you can type in npx expo start. This will start up the project. You click on scan QR code, then you scan the QR code over here, and this will show up. This usually happens because sometimes the Wi-Fi and the internet IP address keeps changing, like mine. So you will have to open up terminal as administrator. You go to Windows, you see the terminal app here, you right click it, then you run as administrator. You click yes, and then in the terminal you type in ipconfig. This will show up the IP address of your Wi-Fi or the internet, and then you copy the IP address, and then you type in this command setx /m react native _native packager _hosts name. Then you paste in the IP address. Once you have done that, you close the VS Code, and then reopen the VS Code again, and then close the app project, and then scan the QR code again. Oops. npx expo start. Once the Expo Go QR code is produced, scan the QR code, and another pop-up will appear, and this is what the warning means. As you can see, I have put in the notice here, because sometimes the SDK, which is the version that the Expo is using, is different from the Expo Go app version. On the phone, you go to settings, you can see the version of your SDK of the Expo Go, which is 55. But sometimes the project will produce a SDK 54, and you have to do something to do either these two to match the project SDK with the app SDK. What I will usually do, or what I will actually do, is to do the first option, which is this. So how to do this option is to tap in this bottom link over here. This will downgrade your app to match the project SDK, because in the project is using SDK 54, but the Expo Go is using SDK 55, so you have to downgrade the Expo Go to SDK 54, which you can do it here on the app and download. Once you have done that, open up the app and then scan the QR code again, and the project will bundle and will start up. Once you've done, and this will show up, it says open up app.js to blah blah blah, and it is working. Next step is to remove index.js and app.js file. I'll do that. Delete and delete. Don't worry about the error that showed up, it's fine. Okay, once that you have done that, you add the app folder in the root project. So here you can just right click, new folder, and just say app. This will be all your app stuff, app pages will be added. So in the project, app project, you can write a new file, let's call it index.jsx. Then in the index.jsx, we type in rnfes. But to make this rnfes work, you have to install a extension called ES7 plus React Redux React Native snippets. This will help you start up the app component without having you to rewrite the whole start again and again. What do I mean is that when you type in rnfes, then press tab, this will show up, so you do not have to type in every single thing again and again. So once you have done that, you can replace index with home, as this is the home page, and Ctrl S to save it. Remember to save every time you make a change. So once you have done that, you go to docs.expo.dev. Over here you can close this and close this. Then you go to guides. You go to the bottom, Expo router header, then click on manual installation. Then this will show up. Now you install the dependency, basically following the instructions. You go back to the terminal, you close it, Ctrl C to close the terminal, you paste it in, and enter. Once you have done that, go back to the thing. Now in the package.json, you have to change the main to Expo router entry. So let me copy that, Ctrl C, and then to the package.json, close the terminal for now. In the main, instead of index.js, change it to the one that you copied and add a comma. Then Ctrl S. Once you've done that, let's go to the next step. You copy this thing. This will be pasted inside app.json file. So go back here, go to app.json, then maybe add it here, add a comma, format it, tab, Ctrl S, save it. Then you can close both files, and you're done with this website. Once you've done that, you can type in the terminal. Let me shrink this, npx expo start, and press enter. Once the QR code shows up, you actually don't have to scan it again. You can just shake your phone, then press reload. This will reload the project, and ta-da, the home page is at the top left, as you can see. Oops, as you can see when we reload again. So after this works, go close the terminal. In the app folder, create a layout file. So let me right click the app folder, new file, type in underscore layout.jsx, enter. Then copy and paste this entire thing there. Again, this notion is in the description down below, so yeah, don't worry about that. So after that, in the app folder, you can create a new tab folder. This is where basically all the tabs pages will be contained inside this container. This is basically the tabs at the bottom of your phone to navigate between the pages using the buttons at the bottom. So in the tabs folder, create a layout file, .jsx, and paste the following code. This is just like a navigation bar at the bottom. So when one of the button is active, this color will be shown, and then the whole animation will use shift. Yeah, but you can change the color if you like. Once they have done that, because this uses ions icon, you have to install it. So let's close this and do npx expo install at expo vector icons, vector icons, and enter. Luckily I do not have an error that says something about whatever error, but if you did face this kind of error, you can do npm config set legacy peer depth dependency, basically equals to true. Based on my own experience, this works. And then you install the vector icons again. So once you've done that, npx expo start. Once it's loaded, shake your phone. Reload. After that, drag the index.js into the tabs folder. So here, this will be one of the pages of the tabs. And then add a new page called profile, but whatever file you want can include here also, it doesn't really matter. And then rnfesc again, tab, profile, and save, Ctrl S. And once you have done that, the tabs will appear at the bottom of the phone. And as you can see, this is the home page that we have created over here. In the tabs folder, this is the index.js home. And then the next page is the profile page, as you can see. And you have some nice shift animation. This is basically to tell the app on how the pages underneath it inside this same folder on how it will look like or how it will behave. Once you have done that, you are done with the React Native setup and you can start your React Native project. But if you plan to use Supabase, you have to set up Supabase, and I will show you how. So first, you have to create a Supabase project. So you go to supabase.com, it will bring you here, and then you have to log in or sign up if you do not have the account. Then create your new organization. Right now I have one, so it doesn't matter. And once you have clicked your organization, you click on new project. Then the organization put as default. Then the project name, let's call it video project, up to you basically. Then set the database password. Once you have done that, select the closest region, doesn't matter, and then enable automatic RIS. This is basically row level security so that you don't get hacked. Then create a new project. Then this will show up while this is loading and everything. You can copy the project URL and then copy the publishable key. Then once you have done that, open VS Code and add in an .env file in the project folder. So let's call it .env and then paste in this thing over here. Then replace HTTPS with the URL and the publishable key. I'll be right back. Once you've done that, remember to save your .env file, then go to .gitignore. At the bottom, type in .env, this so that if you use Git, your whole entire password and everything won't be inside, won't publish into the web to GitHub to let everybody see. Once you have done that, close gitignore, then we'll be here. Then open up the terminal, close the server, install Supabase client and React Native storage to this so that this is used to do the persistent session so that you don't have to log in every time you open the app. Click enter. Once downloaded, then start up the app just in case you forget. Then close the terminal. In the root project folder, create a new folder, let's call it lib, library, which means library. In the folder, create a new file, call it supabase.js. In the file, copy and paste this one. This is basically to help basically make a connection between your codes and the real database in Supabase. It's like a middleman to help you manipulate the data in the code and then update it into the database. Kind of nice. Once you have done that, your Supabase is done and you can use it. How? Good question. This is basically to test whether Supabase actually work. So in the root project folder, create a new folder, let's call it components. In the components, or maybe let's put in the app. So in the components, create a new file and call it form.js. Oops, create a new file, form.jsx. This is all the form you have. Copy the form, paste it in. How this works is basically this is the form that the users will see, which is returned. And then a text input, basically a box where users will type in. Whenever a text change, the new text will set to the recipe text, set recipe text, and the variable recipe text will be the input that the users has put in, which is over here. The recipe text is the input of the user, and then this recipe text will be put inside the database using Supabase. Put inside the database in the column of recipes in the recipes table. Just in case, Supabase, let me re-import this Supabase again. And Ctrl S, now it's darker a bit. Okay. Then if the insert goes terribly wrong, this will produce an error, and then at the bottom is just stalling, boring stuff. Okay, Ctrl S. Then in the Supabase, go back to Supabase, go to table editor, create a new table, let's call it recipes. This is just an example, you can name it whatever you want. And then create a new column called recipes. And in the text, use this as text, save, and this will appear. So this is basically the columns that I'm talking about. So this Supabase, this is the middleman as I said earlier. We'll insert the recipe text which the users input into the recipes column, which is this thing. And then this whole entire column is inside from the recipes table. Yeah, that's basically how it works. So once you have created the table, add a row level security. So copy and go inside this thing, go to SQL editor, paste it over here, then run it. So how this works is basically this will create a new policy where it enables anyone to insert, which is not really secure to be honest, but for this example, you have to make do with it. So this is the table, this permissive allow, which means allow basically for insert for the public to use. So anyone can do that, so no check, which means it's true. And then create another policy where anyone can view it, again not secure, on the recipes table, which is public, but I didn't really add it here, doesn't really matter. As permissive means allow select to read it, which means to read it to the public, anyone can read it. And then you can go back to table to check whether the RLS is applied, which is yes. Once you've done that, you go back to the VS Code, then import form to index.jsx. To do that, remember the form name, which is the function, the main function, and I call it add recipe. This is the component name. So you have to import the component name inside wherever you want to put the form inside, as it's already exported. So go back to index, then I will put it here, and then I put open bracket, add recipe as that's the name, and then once you see this, press the tab key, and it will auto import for you, and then close slash and close the bracket and save. Once you've done that, shake it, check your phone, reload, and the form will show up. So let's try testing a recipe. Let's put test, add recipe, and this will successfully show up. Very nice, good sign. And go to Supabase, and then reload, auto reload, and the test will appear. Very nice. But if you want your app to have security like login page or sign up page, you can continue on watching. So in the root project folder, you can create a context folder. Then in the context folder, type in auth context. This is what the pages will use to help authenticate. So they paste it here. See, as you can see, this will log in. This is where all the functions will be added. So this is where you log in over here, log out, and sign up. So once you have done that, save. Then you no longer need this. Since I want the whole app to have the authentication, so I go to the main layout file. Don't be confused with this layout file. This layout is for the tabs only, the tabs folder, the files in the tab folders only. And this layout file is for the whole entire app. So here you can import, then import auth provider. Finally it shows. And then wrap the entire app with auth provider. Open up. Then shift, tab, up arrow, tab, format it, save. Add the auth folder. This is where the authentication pages will be contained. This is basically like a container. That's why there's a bracket. So in the folder, you create a new file, layout.jsx, new file, login.jsx, new file, signup.jsx. Okay, once I've done, in the layout folder, copy, paste it in. Again, this is basically to define how the login and sign up pages are interacted with, or how they are behaved, or whatever files that are in the same folder as this layout file on how it behaves. So yeah, Ctrl S, paste the following login page, copy, paste, save, then sign up page, paste. After that, reload by shaking your phone, reload, and the login and sign up page will appear. So what you can do to log into your account is to sign up with the email. Oops. Hold on, my name is incorrect. Let me make sure that the name is the same as what you have put in the layout file, which is sign up. This will follow the layout file name, this file routing in a nutshell. So shake it, reload, go to sign up page, and then type in your email address and sign up. Again, you can change the size of whatever sign up page if you think it looks ugly. Once you sign up, this page will appear. So this is the app. So if you noticed, if you shake your phone and reload, this login page will appear. If you do not want to log in every time you open up the app, you have to add in a persistent login, so that whenever you reload the app, you do not have to log in again and again and again. So this is very easy to do, just pasting this code. Lucky that you have this document, so this makes your life easier. So in the app folder, create a new file, index.jsx, and done. In the index.jsx, you paste it, copy, and paste it here. When you first open up the app, this layout file will be activated. If you didn't specify whatever file you want the app to open up, it will open up index.jsx file as default. So this is the closest to this layout file, and it's not in the next directory. So in this index.jsx file, this will appear. When it is loading, when the authentication is loading, your indicator will appear. And then once that's done, this will, if there's a session, it will bring them to the tabs folder, which is here where all the files are at. Again, since I didn't specify any file, it will first have to go to the index.jsx file. This is the default. If there is no session, they will go to the auth login. So once you have done that, shake your phone. I don't remember shaking my phone. And login. Oh yeah, I remember to verify my email, better do that. It's okay if when you click the email confirmation, the endpoint is give you an error in the page. It doesn't really matter. If you do not want that to happen, or if you do not want email confirmation, you can change that in the settings of the Supabase. Once you've logged in, this page will appear. Very nice. Shake it, reload, and you are state login. Very nice. And you are done with the setup of the React Native and Supabase app. Congratulations. Once that you have done coding everything, you want to publish it to the world and use it for yourself without relying on the code and enabling the code every time, or type in npx expo start every time to use the project. So how you can do that is to close the project, then in the terminal, actually open this fully. The prerequisite is that you have to install EAS to do that. EAS basically makes publishing the app into the App Store and everything, or allow you to use the app and everything more easier. So you have to install it using npm install -g EAS CLI. So this will help you publish the app into the world or App Store. So this basically have a global flag. So every project you don't have to type in npm install EAS-CLI. Since I have that installed, I don't have to reinstall it. So once you have done that, you have to EAS login to see whether you're logged in or not. If you're not logged in, you have to go to expo.dev to sign up. And this is basically what a web page will look like. So you can check using EAS who am I, and the name and the email address will appear. So let's publish the app into the real world so you can use it. First thing that you have to do is to EAS init to initialize the project to EAS, and then you create a project yes y, and the project is successfully linked. So next command is EAS build config. Type if you want the build to be Android only, you can click on Android, or iOS only, you can click on iOS. Since if you want the app to be both, you can do all, and then this will generate the EAS.json. In the JSON, you can see the version of the CLI, see the configuration of the builds, 3 different types of builds. Basically 3 different types of builds that EAS can build, or you can build using EAS. The first one is development build. It's the same as Expo Go, but it allows features to be implemented into the app while you are developing it, because some packages like notifications do not allow notifications to happen if you are using Expo Go, so you have to set it to development build and then develop the notifications using the development build. Or if you are developing a widget, you have to use development build, because Expo Go doesn't work. Then this is for the preview. If you do not want your app to be launched to App Store or Play Store, but you want to use your app in real life without relying on the code, you can do EAS build preview, which I'll show you later, without relying on the code. Then the production build is where it will produce a certain kind of file which you put it inside the Play Store or the App Store web page to publish the app into the App Store and Play Store. In the EAS.json, you can add in, for the CLI, you can at the bottom you can put in require commit equals to true, or require commit equals to true, so that whenever you want to upload it, to make sure that this thing does make sure that this version is uploaded to Git for version control. Once you have done that, you can start building the app. And so EAS build with dash profile. Again, whatever build you want to build. So if you want you want to use the app without relying on the code, you can tap on preview. Then dash platform, you can put Android or iOS. So this will produce a preview, Android preview EAS build. So again, you can see that commit is needed. So let's press yes, this, and then you can just put enter for everything else. Sure, yes. And then this will be you'll build it. But do remember that you only have 15 Android builds and 15 iOS build limit for each month. So do use it wisely. So that's why I cancelled it. I'm cancelling this build. So yeah, this is basically how you set up and then publish the app into the world and use it for yourself without relying on the code. I've shown you how I set up my React Native app with Supabase, and then how to do the persistent login, and also how to publish your app into the real world without enabling your code. So anyways, just my opinion. Bye.